Selling your house today in 2022 in this seller's market is unlike anything we've seen happening recently in real estate. So stay tuned to find out 3 things that sellers need to know to guide you in selling your house in 2022. And if you're a buyer, keep watching so you can learn the secrets about what sellers are looking for in this market so you can get your offer accepted. So stay tuned. Hi, this is Brenda Keller. I'm a realtor with Red One Realty in the Dayton, Ohio area. And in this market, it is crazy here in Ohio. But today's housing market is pretty much the same across the nation. So anywhere you are, it's pretty much a seller's market for 2022. First of all, you might ask, what is a seller's market? Well, there are different ways to define a seller's market, but some of the things that make it a seller's market are there aren't many houses on the market, and there are more buyers looking for houses than there are houses for sale. And typically in a seller's market, interest rates are low, and that contributes to there being more people looking to buy houses than there are houses on the market. Some other things that don't necessarily contribute to it being a seller's market, but these things we usually see when it is a seller's market are that homes are selling fast, they're selling for higher prices than normal, and buyers are making very desirable offers regarding terms of the sale. In the past, when selling your home, you might have had to have your house sit on the market for weeks, maybe even months before you got an offer. That was not unusual at all. And it was almost an unwritten rule or an understanding that buyers would put in a lower offer than the asking price, sometimes a really low ball offer. And the sellers would usually accept that offer, or they'd make a counter offer. Maybe they'd split the price difference, with them and come back with a counter offer. However, that is not typically the case in today's market. The first thing you need to know in our 3 things sellers need to know is that in many areas of our country, like here in the Dayton, Ohio area, homes are getting snatched up quickly after being put on the market, typically less than a week. And buyers are not trying to get a bargain. They're offering asking price or more than asking price. Sometimes these offers include an agreement that if the house doesn't appraise high enough for the amount they are offering, that they will cover the appraisal gap and pay up to $5,000 or up to $10,000 or even more than that over the appraised value. Buyers are also making their offers very competitive by waiving inspections and not asking for any portion of closing cost or any portion of a home warranty to be paid for by the seller. And also, buyers may not have any contingencies. What is a contingency, you may ask? A contingency is something that the buyer puts in the contract to say, basically, if this thing doesn't happen, like if the house doesn't appraise high enough, or if I don't like what I find after the inspection, then I can back out of the contract. Or another contingency might be, I can't close on the house and pay you for it until this thing happens, which might be like I have to sell my own house that I'm living in first. So the contract is contingent on something. And of course, offers with no contingencies are more desirable for the sellers. So that's something important for the buyers to know, that you need not just the asking price, not just your purchase price that you're offering them. You need to make sure the terms in your contract are good and that you don't have many, if any, contingencies. So sellers need to be savvy about what to look for in the contract to determine what the best offer is that they received. So to recap, the first thing the seller needs to know when selling their house in 2022 is that it's a seller's market. And the second thing that sellers need to know when selling their house in 2022 is that you want to get, and most likely will get, multiple offers on your property. And you need help from your realtor in deciding which is the best offer. This involves more than just looking at the purchase price offered. Speak to your realtor about listing your house on a Thursday and asking for offers to be in by Sunday afternoon. That way, you will hopefully get multiple offers. Realtors will encourage their buyers to put in their best offer, and you'll be able to pick the best offer. The third thing, and the most important things that sellers need to know when selling their house in 2022, and buyers pay attention to this, is that there's more than just the price that the buyer's offering that you need to look at to determine which is the best offer. This is where you will look at all the terms of the contract and look for contingencies, as I mentioned earlier. Here are things that you need to look for in the purchase contracts that the potential buyers present you with, because some offers might look really good at first glance, but may end up not being so good once you dig into and examine the contract more thoroughly. So the first thing to look at is the price, of course. If your realtor has done his or her research and advised you of the possible market value of your house, and you've agreed to list the house at the right price, sometimes just slightly below market price, to get more interest and more offers, you should get multiple offers. And in this seller's market, the offers usually are very close to or at your asking price, but many times in this seller's market, the offer is over the asking price. If the buyer offers over the asking price and they're getting a mortgage loan, you must consider what might happen if the house does not appraise that high. If it is a cash buyer, there isn't an issue. But if the buyer's financing the house, no loan company is going to give them a mortgage for more than the appraisal value of the house. So you may have to drop the price if the buyer can't come up with the cash to cover that appraisal gap. So that's the next thing to look at when picking the best offer, is what type of financing is the buyer getting. The most desirable is cash, and the buyer needs to provide proof of funds. The next most desirable is typically a conventional loan. The least desirable would be FHA, USDA, or VA loan, because those all require appraisals and they include an inspection by the appraiser to pass certain standards of structure, safety, etc., and to meet the requirements of FHA or VA or USDA. And the seller will need to ensure all items are repaired or brought up to code per what's required in order for that buyer to get the loan on the house. And that can cost the seller a significant amount of money. For instance, if the appraiser states the house needs a new roof. So with any type of financing, you need a letter from the buyer's loan company stating that they are pre-approved, not just pre-qualified, and make sure they have submitted earnest money. What is earnest money, you may ask? That is basically money that's at least $500, usually $1,000 or more, much higher on higher priced homes. And it's usually 2% to 10% of the purchase price. And that is to show they are earnest in making a good faith offer to purchase the house. So it's basically a down payment, not necessarily on your loan, but to the seller saying, I'm serious about this. I've got skin in the game. I want to make an offer on your home. And so here's some upfront money to show you. And then the seller's agent will put that in an escrow account or send it to the title company to hold until closing. The next thing to consider is the terms. So buyers, pay attention to this, because you want good terms for the seller to accept your contract. So, for example, as you go through the contract, sellers, you might see that the buyer's asking for closing assistance. They might not have enough money to cover down payment and closing costs, So they might ask you for something like $4,000 toward closing costs. They might have made a nice offer for your home, $200,000, let's say, but minus 4,000, now you're looking at $196,000. Okay. Then they might also ask you to provide a home warranty or to pay up to about $600 is what's typical around the Dayton, Ohio area, I think, toward a home warranty. Well, you can subtract that off of the purchase price also. Are they having a home inspection? And they might have a list of things that they're going to show you after the home inspection, wanting you to repair or replace before they can buy the house. Or again, if they have FHA, VA, or USDA loan, some of these things might be requirements to be fixed before they can get the loan on the house. And you're going to be needing to pay for it or contributing a good chunk of money toward that repair or replacement of some items. But with a cash offer or a conventional loan, are they waiving the home inspection? That can be done on a conventional or a cash loan. And so you know that you're not going to have to worry about bringing things like that up to code or repairing or replacing or doing other things like that. Is the buyer stating that they're having a home inspection but will not ask you to repair or replace anything less than $5,000? That's a little more desirable in the contract. So with the price, you have to look at the net offer. If the buyer has offered the best purchase price, but you have to start subtracting closing costs and home warranty and repairs that might need to be done and so forth, then that might not be the best offer because it's not the best net offer. So you need to go through every contract that you get and see what's the bottom line on this. Someone might have an offer over asking price, and they will say that they'll cover an appraisal gap up to $5,000. So that would be tempting to take that offer. Somebody might offer, are you listening, buyers? This is something you can put in your contracts. Someone might offer the listing price, but have an escalation clause. For example, they might state they will go $3,000 above the highest verifiable offer that you get up to a certain price, and they will cover the appraisal gap up to a certain price. So there are other terms that might make one offer more desirable than the other. You and your realtor need to go through the contract thoroughly to determine what is the best offer, who has the best financing terms, who has the best terms in the contract. The next thing to consider in order to help determine the best offer is the contingencies. In this seller's market, this can be a big determining factor in whether or not the seller accepts someone's offer. We talked about contingencies earlier. Remember, the deal is contingent on something like the ability of the buyer to sell their own home. Then that offer might be passed up if the seller gets an offer and there's a contingency in it. Okay, there are some common contingencies that are usually seen in contracts, like the deal going through based on the results of a home inspection, or the deal going through based on the appraisal, or based on the buyer obtaining a certain interest rate on a mortgage loan. If those contingencies can be waived, it can make the deal more appealing to the seller. And the final thing that might make an offer desirable is the closing date, surprisingly. The seller may already be moved out and wants to close as quick as possible because they don't want to be paying that mortgage any longer. Or the seller may need more time to move. And if the buyer wants immediate occupancy in 30 days, they're going to close in 30 days and have immediate occupancy. That might be an issue if the seller is not ready to move that soon. So it's very competitive market in 2022. Many times sellers have the ability to get great deals on the selling price and the terms when they're selling their homes. But buyers need to know all that I mentioned in this video in order to be competitive with other offers and to know what types of offers are the most appealing to sellers. The good news is for buyers is even though it's a very competitive market in 2022, the best months of the year to buy a house are October through February. So if you can hang on till the end of 2022, buyers, um, there are less people wanting to buy homes and move into those homes. So there's less competition for buyers. But sellers now, this spring and this summer is the greatest time to sell your house, anytime before Labor Day. So I hope this video helps sellers and buyers to be savvier when it comes to the 2022 real estate market. So goodbye for now. May God bless you.